Okay, folks. We're just waiting for someone to come, right? So instead of sitting here twiddling our thumbs, like, we could have a little discussion. Will that do? We're not officially started yet because we can't start until this person comes. So we're going to be doing a video today, and it's going to be up on YouTube. And I don't want to say too much now because I'm going to repeat the whole bloody thing in about 10 minutes anyway. Like so, is everybody familiar with this?
Yeah.
No.
Anybody, any questions what it might be? Nothing? Alright, can you see where you're at?
Yes.
Alright. Can you see where you'd like to get? Yeah, where?
For the moment,
Yeah, you see, you have a lot to learn, yeah. See, everybody's looking at here. You know, so you need to start here and then here. Don't forget about here. So we're going to go through this in detail today, what that means and everything. But can you see anything else there? There's 5 levels. Can anybody see anything else? I'm looking for dyslexics here. All right, because dyslexics see differently to everybody else.
They're special.
We're special.
Let's have the people do that. They see to things that.
Look at this as a shape rather than as two-dimensional.
Two, and then it's one.
Yeah.
No?
You see, there's 5 layers there also. Can anybody see them? Huh?
Yeah.
Where's the 5 layers?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, that's the 5 levels. You see, when you're reading this book, everybody here does A Course in Miracles. Do you know A Course in Miracles?
I have the book.
You have?
I haven't actually.
Right. Right. Because the course could be something like this. I'm not a great drawer, right? So just imagine it's something like that, all right? Okay, so here you have the 5 levels, and here you have 5 layers. So can you see the 5 layers now? Where? Give me one layer. If you can see it. You all nodded and said yes.
I didn't know.
All right, that's okay.
And I didn't say yes either.
Huh?
I can't see. No, I am.
No. Right. You still need help. You see, when you're reading the course, right, people just open and they start to read the words. Okay? So that means you're reading the words in every page. So you're reading the book 2-dimensional. Yeah? But the book's not 2-dimensional, is it? It's not linear. So how's the book written?
It's holographic, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. What's a holograph? It's levels and layers of light. That's right. Yeah? So when you're reading the course, right, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can get a picture now of why the course is so difficult to read. Yeah? Because in every chapter, in most sections, and almost, and you'll get it also on one page, you'll have talking about these 5 levels. You might be even talking about layers within levels. Concepts within concepts within concepts within concepts. You see how difficult the course is. And this is why a lot of intellectuals come to the course, because they try to figure it out. So, like everything else in life, to give you an idea of a layer, Let's start from the bottom up. So we have the victim. That's the first layer. What's the second layer? You just have no idea what I'm talking about yet, do you? Anybody?
It's hard to understand. I think I
It's
know.
always easy, yeah.
I think I know.
It's always easy when you kind of hear it, yeah. So that's the first layer. Second layer is persona.
Oh, the persona,
Now what's the third layer? Don't be shy, and if anybody whispers, I'm going to humiliate you here. All right? Don't be shy. I'm going to do this in the video, so this is only promise I won't show this video. Come on, what's the next layer?
Shadow.
Shadow.
No!
The ego.
Nearly right? Why do you say the ego?
Well, you said the persona for number 2, so I'm just going up and across for the ego.
See? What's the next layer?
Holy Spirit.
Are you guessing? Are you? Are you guessing? You are guessing. You're wrong. You're still thinking that like two-dimensional here. God had given you 3 here of a layer that's so clear. You know, think of this as kind of in and out ways. All right? Think of it like this. Here's the victim. All right? Here's persona. Here. What's happening?
Projection.
Yeah. Well, what else is happening in the layers?
Is it the decision maker?
No, you see,
They're separated.
the next one. Now that's a layer. That's 5 layers. The victim, okay, is here. Inside the persona. Yeah? True. So the persona is inside the ego split mind. Another concept. The ego split mind is in level 1. Level 1 is in the concept of Genesis. So you can see now how the layers work. So you have the levels and you have the layers. And every layer is a concept that's within a concept. Does this make sense?
Should you have more levels in the, you have more layers in the other levels?
Would you have only an intellectual would ask such a question?
That's me.
One thing about Genesis and one thing you learn about the course, everything must equate. Everything must balance. Okay, to give you an example. Okay, the amount of energy that you put into the persona is the same amount of energy that you're going to put into the shadow. Shadow. So let's say you go about doing good things all the time in the persona, then you're going to basically be in hell. Why?
Because you're appeasing your ego more, so it's not coming from that place where the course directs me to.
Well, even more simpler, Joe, isn't it?
Oh,
Paul, even more simpler than that. Paul, you're just doing it with the ego.
yeah.
You see, the persona, you all know what a honey trap is? Yeah? We talked about honey traps last night. Yeah? You know? It's where maybe the wife would get a really good looking girl and basically get her to test if his husband or her husband's loyal. Yeah? So it's a setup. And that's what this is down here, it's a setup. Okay, because the persona, let's say in here you have the seeker. So you have you, there's a part of you that's suffering, okay, the shadow. Okay, that part of you in pain. And then there's a part of you now that's going out seeking for answers to that suffering. That's why probably most of you are here today. You are here seeking answers. Okay, but it's the part that's seeking the answers that's causing the suffering. Why?
Because you're looking outside.
Because you're still seeking, the seeker's the ego. You know, it's a crucial point you must come to within yourself. When you do find what you're looking for, you see, a lot of people won't do it because they're so attached to the seeker, so they'll continue seeking and seeking and seeking, and they'll pass by what the truth was. Because you see, the seeker cannot afford to even contemplate this, the 10 corrections. So it'll find it always to not do this. But there is a way that you can overcome that. Okay? So you see here at the bottom, the seeker, or the personality, is you who's sitting in this room, is 7%. And that means 9 out of every 10 decisions you make, you're making them with the ego. The ego's making them, and you think it's you that make them. 9 out of every 10 thoughts you think are with the ego. And they're easy because they're all judgments. Good judgments, bad judgments, right judgments, wrong judgments. So you know these. So the thoughts and the decisions that you're making are all egos. They don't belong to you. But what do we do with these thoughts? We take them as our own, and we believe we're a bad person because we have bad thoughts. Isn't this so? Or why do we have bad thoughts about this person? You know, or why do we have bad thoughts about ourselves? It's all projection. The answers are all here. So what you must do here, you must increase the 7% up to 66% or more. You know why? Because the seeker, the persona, the person who's doing this, right, you're doing most of it with the ego. And it can't do it. You see, because the first step up in here to this mindset here is complete responsibility. So just think for a moment what that means. It's hard to get your head around that. But this is complete responsibility without blame. There's no such thought in the ego thought system. Because the ego, the way it takes responsibility is to rationalize, is always to blame. When I say to you, you must take responsibility, first thing you're going to do is, yeah, you're right, it's my fault. I should have done this, I should have done that. Or you blame your body, or you blame your gender, or you blame politicians, or the banks, or you blame somebody, you'll find somebody to blame. Because that's the ego's way of responsibility. Okay? No such thing up here. This is a different form of responsibility. So any questions on that just before we start?
Just to clarify, Michael, when you say you take responsibility, you take it and it is possible to be responsible without judgment or without blame?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's just what I want to
And it's really easy to do to someone who has a strong personality. You know, someone who is not a people pleaser, not a manipulator. Someone who is comfortable with themselves, doesn't really care about what other people think about themselves. You know, it's none of their business what other people think about them. You know, this is mentality that you need for up here. Because if you're going to be infected and you're going to basically be open to what other people say and do and think about you, you're really giving all your power away to the ego. The ego is lapping that up. You see, the key here is this. If you look at these percentages here, you don't stand a chance from childhood upwards because the ego sucks everybody energy that you have. You have an eternal flame of energy inside you, inside this body, okay? And that source is coming from God, called love, call it light, call it awareness, being, whatever symbol you want to put on it. And that's what feeds the ego. So when we come in here to the body, we automatically start thinking with the ego, doing with the ego, planning with the ego, doing everything with the ego, and the ego's just steady now feeding it, feeding it. And we believe we're doing the right thing, we believe we're doing the good thing, and we're believing this is the conditioning. But everything we're doing, we're feeding this here. You can't have this without this. So we'll see today what we're going to do. We're going to go through this in detail, and I'm going to take you through my journey and how I did this. Because I just completed my journey 2 weeks ago. Alright? And believe you me, there was reasons why I did this and could do this, and I'll explain all of it when we start. So, thank you, Sharon. I basically forgot my class. Alright, it's a bit technical. I was only at actually 10 to 12 that I finished this today. So, I hadn't time to memorize all of this stuff, you know. So this is what it's called. It's called Genesis. It's the game of life. Okay, this is the rules of the game. And here you have the board game, which is life. And like you say, you know where you are, and you know where you need to get to. But all of this is still meaningless without this. Because in here you have the rules of the game. You have the general rules, which covers everything. You have the rules then for level 1. You have the rules for level 2. And you have the rules for level 3. Then you have a thing called the strategies. Alright? So you have the ego strategy. Then you have basically the strategy for students. The ego strategy for students, people who are seeking. And then the ego has a strategy for people who are teaching. And then there's God's strategy, which is the way out. And that's really simple. If you don't try to beg your own cake. Right, so that's what we're going to cover. Any questions? Anybody? All happy? Right,
Can I just ask one question?
Yeah.
I love the Course in Miracles. I can read it, and at one time I couldn't, but it's like, it's basically, I sometimes see it like a toolbox that's on up here, there's wires that are out in a heap, in a mess. And when you read it, it sort of untangles it and makes it, just frees it up.
Yeah.
But I often wonder why can it be so difficult if it is such a beautiful way of freeing people. Why is it so difficult sometimes? Why was it, you know what I mean, if it was going to be such an open, beautiful message for everybody, or is it something that only some of us can reach, you understand? That's the main question. That's something I've always grabbed. Maybe a silly question.
No.
It's not a silly question. I mean, it's a question that everybody can be asking, you know. But let me ask you this.
I'm saying it from a place that
Yeah,
when I
but-
read it, I totally understand it. You
Yeah.
understand? Cool.
3 things that I really love to bring to people is clarity, simplicity, and specificity. So just to answer your question, remember we did the layers?
Yeah.
This is not a nice book for everybody. It's a very, how would you say, it's the worst book possible in this world for who? Wow. And if you're in your persona, and the persona is very special, very spiritual special, you know, better than them religious are, like, you know, we have moved on from religion. You know? So religion's in the bad room. You know, this is what you're up against, you see. You see, this is, I was just talking to another lady before we started. I said, how's things going? And she said, bad. And here inside me, I was going, good. And then I said, who's this bad for? Like, and she knew. But this can't be a surprise or an expectation. The answer is very clear here. It's the part of you that's frustrated, that's angry, that's upset, that's feeling down, that's feeling depressed. That's the part that you need to let go of. Don't go into the stories of You know, the ego in that feeling now wants to take this feeling and project it onto a story, rationalize it. Okay? I'm feeling bad. Oh, it must be because of what that person said to me last night. Or because of this, because of that. Now you're into story drama, you're into projection, you're into reaction projection. Now you're fixing this fucking story that doesn't exist. Do you know what I mean? The ego loves it because the ego's the fixer. So you can see the persona creates a drama, creates a story, and then now you go about fixing the story. But the first thing you do is you don't still look at yourself, you go to fix this other person. I need to forgive this person. I can't forgive them. I need to forgive them. No, you can't forgive them. You know, this is the battle going on in this mind here. This mind is a setup. It's a strategy to confuse you, to delude you, to distract you. Why? Because when you're doing all of these things, it's like you're pulling up and plugging into the ego, and you're feeding it, you're feeding it, you're feeding it, you're feeding it. And the more you fight against it, basically you're really putting the gas down. You're really filling it up now, like. And this is why people go into depressions. It's just automatic foot down on depression, like, you know, the ego is just what you would call comatized on energy. You know, it doesn't have to do anything. Before the persona has to suck the life out of you, has to trick you, has to con you. Then when you get into the depression, like into here, the shadow, the pain body, as Eckhart Tolle calls it. Ego loves it, just sits back and you just doesn't need to do anything. And this is why people in that kind of coma depression will stay in it, because the persona, which they're so attached to now, disappears. Offers them nothing. You see, here's the thing. This mind and this mind are at war with each other. That's the strategy of the ego. But that war is all made up. That's a setup. Alright? Because I'll tell you why it can be found out that it's a setup, that the shadow. Because you see, the persona is the doer and the shadow is the sabotager. So everything you're doing, you're self-sabotaging. There's nobody in this room hasn't self-sabotaged, because there's nobody in this room probably hasn't not done anything with the ego. But let's say you're going somewhere, you're going to do something very charitable, something very noble, and there's a traffic jam, or maybe there's somebody slow in front of you. Who comes out then to your aid? Get out of the fucking way! The shadow. You see, the shadow is really the Rottweiler. When the persona gets into difficulty, the shadow comes out to its aid. So there's no wire there between them. The whole thing's a setup. This is why you're never sure of the thought that you have, because there's a voice telling you the persona should do something, and then the shadow says, you better not do that, or I would advise you not to do that. Now you're at it. Will I do it? Will I not do it? And it doesn't matter whether you do it or not do it now, you lose. Because it will go wrong sooner or later, and now you're going to blame yourself for either doing it or not doing it when you should have done it, or not done it. We've all done this, haven't we? Yeah? So now we take that, and everything goes on in the world. Should I do something here? Should I not do something? Should I say something? Should I not say something? And then something happens to this person. What do? Take the whole story and drama onto yourself. Now I was a girl, oh, I should have said that. I should have done it. You see, everything that's happening to you out in the world, alright, is the way it is. Alright? It's dualistic. 50% of it's good, 50% of it's bad, 50% of it's right, 50% of it's wrong. Do you know what this really means? That sooner or later everything in this world is going to break. Sooner or later you're going to come across people and they're going to be half of them lying to you and they're going to be half not. They're going to be half telling the truth and they're going to be half not. That's irreparable. You write a book, half the world will put it in the good room, half will put it in the bad room. This is what life is. But still and all, we don't understand life, and the moment something happens in life, we react to it as if, hold on a minute, everything's perfect here and this is a disaster. Isn't that so? We don't understand that the disaster is always here. Do you know? And then between the disasters, we get respites. Perfection is not here. So sorry for rambling on there, Paul. Did that answer your question? All right, it's a bad day. When you're having a good day in the personality, it's going to be a bad day. The secret here is to disempower the persona. And that means you really need to... You see, let me explain it this way. I was asked this question in Greece. This person wanted to teach, but they wanted to teach from their beliefs. What's wrong with that?
It's theirs.
Huh?
It's theirs.
Well, there is no such thing. There's only two thought systems. There's the ego, so there's the Holy Spirit, or right-mindedness, or God. So I said to this person, right, there's no you in this. You are not the teacher. When you're on level 1, you're teaching with the ego. When you're on level 2, you're teaching with God. It's that simple. You see, people get the book and they lift it and they think, I'm a teacher of God, or I'm a teacher of A Course in Miracles. Well, they're neither. What they're doing is teaching their interpretation of A Course in Miracles. There's only one course. Jesus covers this in the course where he says there's a course for every teacher. And then the arrogance of some teachers turn around and say, well, this guy's not teaching the course doesn't say this and the course doesn't say that. For such a teacher to make such a statement, that teacher would need to know everything in the course. Need to know the 5 levels and the 5 layers that are underneath the 5 levels. To make such a statement that this is not what the course. The ego will make that statement. But that's the arrogance of the ego. So in all of this, you know, there's do's, there's don'ts, and we're going to have a bit of fun now and go through the whole lot. All right, just how are we fixed for time?
We're up to 10 to 3.
We're all right. It's just not dark till 10 o'clock, is it?